He stopped loving her today. We're still doing George Jones, everybody. Well, let's get right to the point on this little bit of rain. Rain, is there a song for rain? I don't know. You know there is. Sing it with me. All right, but the rain is gone. And drama in River City. Tony Stewart yesterday, on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour with Harvick. So, Tony Stewart was on Kenny Conversation over almost 3 years ago. And he was the very first person on Kenny Conversation. And Tony got incredible views. Man, my eyes are doing good this morning. I don't need these glasses. Tony Stewart is like lightning. He's like lightning and thunder. It's a little bit frightening. You better not knock on wood. Damn, Herman's happy this morning. Oh, I feel good. I can do that on wood now. So good. All right, simmer down, Herman. Hey, Wallace, why you always so happy? I tell people I came out of my damn mama like this. Let's go. Woo! All right. So Tony Stewart goes on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour and does something that shocks and creates earthquakes throughout the NASCAR world. And we're going to get right to it. But when he was on Kenny Conversation, if you look on Kenny Conversation right now, he's top 5. And his views are awesome because Tony says it the way he says it. I have many conversations throughout my life with some of the smartest people in the world. And Brother Rusty says, and I know Brother Rusty is not going to mind this, Rusty loves Roger Penske because Roger's a successful businessman, and even Roger philosophizes. Roger Penske told Rusty, and Rusty told me, and I really appreciate that. Thank you, brother, for, all the wisdom I use is a lot of it's from Dick Trickle or Rusty Wallace or somebody like that. And Roger says this: before you say something or repeat something, you have to ask yourself, what do I have to gain? Oh, sometimes it's just harmful, non-harmful. Sometimes if you repeat something, it's like, hey, it's going to better the world. So what Tony Stewart said yesterday was this. In ending, I mean, I'm not going to end, but I'm going to say this, and then we're going to talk about it. I'm going to wrap it up in a capsule, okay? He talked a long time. You think I'm long-winded? Go see what Tony said, but he said this. You know what? It just seemed like it was time for me to, get out of NASCAR. It was getting harder. He said that, man, you just can't get sponsors anymore. He says, in the heyday, 15, 20 years ago, sponsors, he basically, I'll say it this way, and I believe this, like, I interviewed sponsors. Oh, Square D, you want to sponsor me, do you? That's the truth. Square D came to my front door of my house. Back in the glory days, I call it Studio 54 days. It was like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Obviously not, but it was that much fun, to where, you equate that to just, man, everything's awesome. There's plentiful everything. Well, Tony said those days are gone, right? And now he said, oh my God, he says, you got to have, the crew and the, and the driver have got to wear different fire suits all the time. You got to have, you got to have your own wrapping company inside your shop because you got 6, 7, 8, 10 sponsors for the year. Tony pointed that out. But the big one that Tony really pointed out was what a lot of you fans have always loved Tony, and I do too, but you're going to like this one. Tony Stewart said, basically in a nutshell, now I'm paraphrasing, so calm down. I'm paraphrasing, okay? once again, I know NASCAR's watching. I'm not a dummy. He said, NASCAR's headed in the wrong direction, and I don't want to be part of it, and now seemed to be a good time to get out. There you go. Some of you might say, mic drop. Some of you might go, boom. Well, I'm going to say it one more time. Herman is going to repeat himself. Tony Stewart said, so difficult to get sponsors nowadays. All these different fire suits and uniforms and hiring your own wrapping company now. The days of being able to, just get one sponsor, they're over. It's exhausting. Then he said, you know what? Seemed to be a good time to get out. But now, he said after. Now, here's the third one. He said, now that I see what's going on with 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, he goes, I don't like the direction NASCAR is headed. Whoa. Drink coffee on that one. Tony Stewart said, I don't like the way NASCAR is headed. So he said, now is the time to get out. It made even more sense. Earlier this summer, he said, you know what? I want to get out. It just seems like right timing. But then he goes on Harvick's happy hour yesterday. And, him and Kevin are really good friends. Because he drove for Harvick when Harvick had his own team. You remember, we forgot about that, didn't you? Kevin and Delana, had their own team, truck series, had a lot of stuff going on. And then they decided to have babies. And that was the reason they said, you know what? Children are more important. We're getting rid of this team. It's too much. So what a great decision. Now you see Keelan and the other little girl. She's so sweet. So that's where Kevin Harvick and Tony Stewart got to be such good friends. And I think that's why you saw Tony Stewart open up so good to Harvick. I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I raced a lot in NASCAR. And people say, my boss, Eric Shanks at Fox, Eric Shanks, look him up, the boss. He told everybody, he said, I want to get Kenny Wallace off the desk and I will put him out on the road in the garage area because the drivers talk to him differently. Well, that's because I race these guys and I know what I'm talking about. So what you saw yesterday out of Tony Stewart was he was talking to his buddy, Kevin, and felt good about what he was saying. I will say that even if you go back through Kenny conversation with Tony Stewart, he said some pretty scathing stuff, which was really good. But listen, I want to give an attaboy to Kevin Harvick. I want to say cheers because that is what everybody's saying. And I hate to admit it, that's what they are saying in the garage area. I can tell you that those guys are miserable. I said it. Now I don't care if one of you crew members go, I'm not miserable. Well, more of you are than not. So, here I go again. I said what I said, and I meant what I said. So I said it. The whole garage area is miserable. And I know these things because they all tell me. They go, damn, Herman, I wished I could run that dirt with you. You're having so much fun. We're miserable. It's just everything's too difficult now. But I got to tell you, I've had some sponsors call me wanting to talk to me about wanting to get my advice about, when they called me, one of the biggest sponsors in NASCAR called me. Herman, tell us what's going on with this lawsuit. And I'm like, Sabadabi, Dabi, and I tell him. And I'm like, Now that Tony Stewart brings it up, I'm like, oh boy, okay, these sponsors, now listen, I'm thinking about what I'm going to say right now. What do I have to gain by saying this? Well, I don't have anything to gain. It's just free speech and it doesn't harm anybody. But a lot of these sponsors don't like what's going on with this 2311 and Front Row. Now, I don't really know why right now. I'll admit I'm not that smart. But big sponsors, they don't like this lawsuit going on between Michael Jordan and front row against NASCAR. They don't like it. And you might respond right here, okay? Because a lot of NASCAR people have burner accounts, different accounts, and they respond to because my stuff's really good here. Okay, deep breath. Hang on, everybody, because it's going to go all over the next whole week. It will be the talk. It happened yesterday. People get busy, but today it's out. So I'm responding to what Tony Stewart said on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour. And what he said was this: I don't like the way NASCAR is headed. This 2311 front row deal, he don't like it. He doesn't like the way NASCAR is headed. He flat said that. And he said this deal of getting 6, 7 sponsors and different fire suits and uniforms and having your own wrapping company, he said he doesn't like the way NASCAR is headed. All right, everybody, I broke it down and I expanded on it a little bit. So listen, it is, what is it, Friday? Happy Friday morning, everybody.